Okay, can you kids hear me? All right, my name is Tom Hill, and I used to build Corvettes, but I don't build them anymore. So I worked there for quite a while, and now I'm working on taking care of cars for a gentleman that has a nice collection of cars. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Corvettes and find out how much you knew about Corvettes. So my first question, and we're going to make this like a little game. When I say Corvette, what makes a Corvette a Corvette instead of just being a regular car? What do you think it is?
It's luxury and speed.
Luxury and speed. Okay, that's pretty good. Anybody else got one?
It's a front engine V8 and rear wheel drive.
Okay, front engine V8. What does that mean? You guys all know what the engine is, right? The engine is where the power comes from that makes the car move. What's that V8 thing? What does that mean? When somebody says I got a V8, what is a V8? You know?
8-cylinder.
Okay, he said it's 8 cylinders. That's right. But what's the V all about?
It's the shape of the engine.
Okay, he's right, because the pistons go up and down, and in fact, you got 4 of them on this side, 4 of them on that side. If you looked at it from the front, it'd form the shape of a V. So that's why they call them a V8. Does that make sense? Okay. What else makes Corvettes unique and special?
They have 2 gears.
They have what?
Only 2. No other car has 2 gears.
Okay, they got 2 gears, but they got 2 seats too, don't they? Have you ever noticed Corvettes only have room for 2 people? Is that a good thing? Why would we make a car that only has 2 seats? Why wouldn't you have a back seat in it?
It's it would make it very aerodynamic.
Okay, aerodynamic.
More acceleration.
More acceleration. It doesn't make it more aerodynamic, but it does make it accelerate better because it's got less weight. It's smaller. Corvettes are sports cars. The whole idea with sports cars is do we want a lot of power or a little power? A lot of power. And we want it to be really heavy or really light? Really light. So lots of power, really light. What does that mean? Really, really fast, right? So if you got a car that's really powerful and doesn't weigh very much, it's very, very fast. Now, what's the problem if you have a really, really fast car, but it can't stop? Is that a problem? What would happen?
It would crash.
You got it. If you didn't have brakes and you had a really fast car, it would crash. The faster your car can go, the better the braking system needs to be to make it stop. So sports cars typically have bigger brakes. Where are the brakes on the car?
The front and the rear and Corvettes.
It's right. Four-wheel brakes. But when you look at a car, and in fact, Jared, I'm going to ask you to help me. Go up and show them the brake caliper that stops the car. Can everybody see that? It's that red thing in there. In fact, Corvettes are so proud of their brake calipers, we paint them bright colors so everybody can see them. But they're big. See how big they are? That's what makes the car stop. So we got lots of horsepower, lightweight, 2 seats, and then we got these big brakes. Now, let's talk about your comment on the aerodynamics. Are Corvettes aerodynamic?
Very.
What makes a Corvette aerodynamic? What does aerodynamic mean? That's a big word.
It means that it has less weight and it can go up in the air more easier.
That's right. It can go through the air easier because it doesn't have as much resistance. Now, what would you need to do to a car to make it more aerodynamic? You're answering all the questions. I got to get somebody else.
You round it.
You make it round. That's exactly right. And look at a Corvette. Look how the front of the car comes down real low. It's rounded. It's smooth. So as it's going through the air can flow across it smoothly. Is that important if you're going really fast? What if you get the air moving around the car doing the wrong thing, creating lift? What would happen to the car?
It would either flip or it would start gliding in the air.
That's right. You turn it into an airplane. If you go fast enough and you got the car backwards, it's going to lift up off the ground, and now all of a sudden you're flying, and you don't want to do that, do you? In fact, it gets to the next important thing about Corvettes and sports cars is some way we want to keep those tires on the ground. Do Corvettes have big tires or little tires? You guys are getting all the questions. I got to work in the crowd back here. How about you guys back here? Does Corvettes have big tires or little tires? What do you think? They're pretty big, aren't they? Absolutely. In fact, they're really big, but they're not just big tires. They're also softer rubber tires. Now, why would you want wide, soft rubber tires on a sports car?
More traction.
You better believe it. When do I need more traction?
To accelerate faster and brake better.
Yeah, you guys want to do a burnout, don't you? Does everybody know what a burnout is? You might as well learn this now. Burnout is when you hold the brake and you accelerate with the throttle and you make the back tires spin and you get all this smoke and makes all kinds of noise. It's really cool, right? Except you have to buy new tires when you're done because it wears the tires out too fast. But it looks cool, doesn't it? You see the racers do that at the end of the race. You know, when they get all done, the guy that wins the race does the burnout. That's because the tires are already worn out anyway. He just makes a big show. So that's what a burnout is. But sports cars have big, wide, sticky tires. So we got lightweight car, lots of horsepower, 2 seats to make it lighter so we can have a light car. We got good brakes and we got good tires. That's a pretty good combination for a sports car, isn't it? Now, if we just did that, do you think we'd sell a lot of Corvettes? What else does a Corvette have to be to get people to buy one?
Comfortable.
Well, they don't have to be comfortable because your grandparents and your parents have driven Corvettes that weren't because they sacrifice comfort for performance. So the new Corvettes are very comfortable. But one thing a Corvette has to be to get somebody to buy it. You're dying here, aren't you?
Yes, I'm dying. It has to be fuel efficient.
It has to be fuel efficient. Legally it does, but it really doesn't have to because old Corvettes didn't get fuel economy. The new ones get really good fuel economy. What's it need to be?
Stylish.
It's got to have good styling. Yeah. And you guys can recognize the different Corvettes by the way they look. And in fact, isn't that what it draws you to the car in the first place? How many of you guys have driven Corvettes? Come on. You have? Okay. Not many of you, though, right? Most of you kids have been in them, but you haven't driven them. So you really don't know about the brakes and the engine and all the other good stuff that we talked about, but you like the way they look. So the way a Corvette looks is very unique, isn't it? And who mentioned that front engine? Was that you? Yeah, we are a front engine rear-wheel drive. What does that mean when I say front engine rear-wheel drive? I'm going to let you.
It means that it's on the first gear.
Okay, it's on the first gear. Yeah, and really what he's saying, the engine's in the front of the car, and then it drives the rear wheels, so those are the ones that are pushing the car down the road. The front wheels don't do anything except steer the car, which is kind of important in a Corvette, isn't it? Because you want to be able to steer it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, guys. We talked about the car. Do you guys like the way Corvettes sound? Yeah. Do you like quiet Corvettes or loud Corvettes? Loud. All right. I want all you kids to follow me, and we're going to walk just across the road right there, and we're going to fire up the loudest Corvette you've ever heard in your life. It's a race car that was built back in the 60s, and it's really, really loud. 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. Top speed, 212 miles an hour. Would you guys do that in that car?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, you would, absolutely. Because you could never get hurt, right?